right. It's 10 o'clock. Let's get started because I have a lot, and I mean a lot, to talk about. I am so glad that I waited till after SmackDown to do this because a lot of developments happened. So, hello, everyone. My name is Writer Maven. I am a wrestling commentator. Been watching wrestling for over 30 years. I focus mostly on Judgment Day, which includes Dom, Liv, Raquel, Carlito, JD, and Finn, and then I talk about Damian and Rhea if I have to. Rhea's being cropping up more likely than I like, but it is what it is. This is a Monday Night Raw preview, and I have to go over what happened on SmackDown as well. We had some developments on SmackDown. We had some developments on social media. There's just a lot to talk about. So, start off, I will say that it looks like Liv and Dom are at the center of at least 3 to 4 storylines. That's a lot. That shows a lot of trust they have in Liv and Dom, and while I wish Liv and Dom were treating a lot better booking wise with how they've been treated, how Dom doesn't seem like get matches and wins, and then Liv, how her title was taken away. It just shows a lot of trust in Liv. Um, Liv is interconnected with, at this moment, Rhea and Iyo. She's connected with Bianca and Naomi, who I'm going to get to in a moment. She's connected with Finn and Dom. And then she has whatever else was going on with Becky whenever she decides to come back, whatever happens with Alexa or Nikki or even Charlotte. So those are like that's like 5 or 6 storylines. 3 that are currently ongoing, and then like 2 or 3 more that can happen like whenever somebody decides to come back. Becky. Dom is the same way. Dom is with Finn, so he has his little tension with Finn, and then we have him being like the mob boss, like he is, or just like El Jefe, and then he's getting favors from Chad Gable. He might have been the one that tipped off Nick Aldis, and I'll get to that in a minute too. And then if they ever go just straight Liv Rhea, he's going to be involved with that. I had some people argue with me today that they don't want Dom in the Liv and Rhea mess, but he kind of has to. He's attached. I would be weird for him not to be there. Do I want him not to be there so close that he gets a riptide? No. But he's going to be involved. It's his history too. He's attached. He left Rhea for Liv. Oh, Joseph, you are so great. Thank you. Thank you for the 1,000K likes. Um, you are awesome. All of y'all are awesome. Y'all really have been making my day. I was really excited. This is a segue, but you cannot wait how excited I was to do this live because it's so much I have to talk about, and y'all have made this really, really fun for me. And like I said, y'all help me reach milestones. So I appreciate you all. Kisses to all of you. Hugs to all of you. But to get back to Dom, he's in a lot of stuff too. So you see how the WWE trusts Liv and Dom to carry stories. This isn't wrestling. This is stories. The WWE is built on stories. You need stories to get you to WrestleMania. After WrestleMania, you can die down with the stories a little bit, but especially in WrestleMania season, you have to have a story. That's why I keep saying that Iyo isn't a story. But I'll get to her in a minute. So, SmackDown. Let's do this in kind of chronological order. Let's do SmackDown, shall we? So, we had Naomi qualify for the Elimination Chamber match. My girl, I'm a ride or die for her. This Elimination Chamber is going to be difficult for me because Liv and Naomi are going to be in it. But I got to go Liv. Naomi's got her own story going on with Bianca and Jade. And I'm going to, and this is what I'm going to segue into now. But she's got her own story. I'm happy. If she hadn't had a story, this would be a much harder choice for me. But I gotta go with Liv. Naomi is doing good with what she has. So she qualified. Everything's good. She gave a wedgie to Chelsea. If y'all haven't seen her discourse about Chelsea getting a wedgie and Chelsea trying to do an executive order to ban wedgies in wrestling, I highly suggest you all go to the X and read all that. It's hilarious. because I think Chelsea was like wanting fines or tariffs for wedgie pools and stuff like that. So it was funny. So, but the major thing is that Bianca and Naomi were pulled into Nick Aldis's office because he found out because he was alerted there was an anonymous tipper that gave him access to a video about Jade's attacker or potential attacker. So he played the video, and then we see Jade getting loaded into the ambulance. We see Naomi and Bailey there because they were at the scene. And then we saw Jade running, not Jade, we saw Bianca running up. And then in the back, in the foreground, like where you can't really see them, you see Liv and Raquel like walking from the ambulance. Now immediately Bianca and Naomi want to go jump on Liv and Raquel because they think they did it. Nick Aldis is like, "Hey, hold your horses. This doesn't show anything. It's not conclusive. They may not attack." But Naomi and Bianca decide that they're going to go roll up on Raw tomorrow anyway. So there's a couple of things about this. Firstly, Naomi is suspicious. You know how I have been doubling down on Naomi being the culprit. I have given my reasons on why I don't think Bianca is the culprit, not just by herself. It can be just Naomi and Bianca together, but that's like a distant second, just Naomi being the culprit. But you saw her reaction. She got up close and personal with that monitor, and then she was the first to accuse Liv and Raquel of attacking Jade. So Naomi is acting really, really sus right now. And we're going to see Naomi and Bianca roll up on Raw tomorrow. So that's tying Liv back into it and to explain about Liv and Raquel's connection. So there's a couple of things with this. First, Liv and Raquel were walking away from the ambulance. Now, if you were assuming somebody had attacked someone, you would think they would be coming from where Jade was attacked. So if Liv and Raquel were walking towards the camera, okay, yeah, you can say okay, yeah, but maybe they did it. But Liv and Raquel were just walking to the place. It looks like they were probably even walking into the arena, getting ready to show up. It's been no secret that Liv and Raquel were there because they were there because that was War Games that was starting to build up War Games. And secondly, Liv and Raquel have made no secret about taking credit for who they attack. They took credit for and shown on camera attacking Bianca and Jade, I think the week before. And then they went all the way down to NXT and beat up Rhea. It only lasted 2 weeks while she was out, but they did it. They showed the evidence of them walking away with baseball bats and kendo sticks. So we saw them attack Naomi. Not Naomi. We've seen them attack Jade, Bianca, and Rhea. And then Liv, with her iconic laugh, would be crowing about it by now. If she did it, she did it. She would be crowing about it. She would trade credit for it, no problem. So all of this right now with Liv and Raquel is just a red herring, and this is just to get Liv and this is just to get Bianca and Naomi on Raw to finally continue that storyline because we thought they had dropped it because they hadn't mentioned it for a while, but now I guess maybe Jade is getting ready to be cleared now, so now they can continue on with the story. So now we'll see them on Raw. So yeah, I mean, again, Liv would be taking credit for it. And also, you remember when Dom was talking to Nick Aldis, like around the transfer portal? Friends of mine on the X have made a connection of maybe he was talking to Nick Aldis or at least getting Nick Aldis in that direction because Dom was seen in the background talking to Nick Aldis when Bianca and Naomi were talking about Jade. That was, I need to probably go back to that Smackdown and give y'all the exact dates where we saw Dom, but he was there and he was in the background where where Bianca and Naomi were talking about Jade. So that's a connection. We kind of did a hypothesis of maybe, Dom is putting the bug in Nick Aldis's ear, and then he's the one that tipped them off. Also, if you watched, what was it, the Elimination Chamber like rewatches with Liv and Raquel, somebody asked like if they know who attacked Jade, and they kind of smiled about it. So it's also a possibility that Liv and Raquel actually know who attacked Jade. And again, another hypothesis going around is that maybe they know it's Naomi that did that, because Naomi and Liv have had a really helpful relationship. The only anomaly with that relationship was War Games, but War Games was off regardless, just because they had to shoehorn Rhea into it. But remember, it was Naomi that got Liv, or helped out Liv to get to pin Nia, so she could go to Queen of the Ring to face Becky for the title. And then it was Liv that helped Naomi pin Nia to get her a chance at the title on Smackdown, when her, Dom, and Raquel rolled up on Smackdown that time, because they were getting ready for the Saudi show, Crown Jewel, and they had rolled up, and then it was Raquel and Liv helping out Naomi at that time. So Naomi and Liv have had a really helpful relationship. It's not just out of nowhere. So you can say that maybe Liv and Naomi are helping each other on the side. And like I said, the only anomaly is War Games. But War Games, like I said, was a mess just because of how they shoehorned everything just to get to the women's team. So there's a lot of stuff happening there. I'm going to table Naomi and Bianca for now, because I want to talk some more about some other developments, but I'm going to talk about that for my Monday Night Raw preview when I get to it. So another development. Oh, we also found out that Trish and Tiffany will go up against Nia and Candice at the Elimination Chamber, which proves why Rhea and Iyo were shunted to the Raw after Elimination Chamber. People were also saying that it could be just because Rhea does not like going into Canada. I'm not sure what that is. I thought it was just like some kind of joke. Maybe she does not like Canada. But if that's the case, I'm kind of tired of the preferential treatment. I'm not saying that this is true or not. So this is just my opinion. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm not saying that she's throwing her weight around so she doesn't have to go into Canada. And maybe they just did that so they could get Trish on the card, because Trish, that's Canada. Canada is Trish's home. But if you're doing all that just so Rhea doesn't have to go into Canada, and you can shun it to somewhere else, then it's just really messed up for me, because they could at least ran. I know they're not going to run like maybe 3 women's matches on these cards, and Triple H has a real hard on for only 5 matches on a PLE, but these PLEs where we don't get a women's title match on it is really messed up. Like I said, I'm not really liking how it just seems like everything is working in Rhea's favor on what she can do and what not she can do. Because yeah, I get it, Trish. You want Trish in Canada, but you could have just had that Iyo and Rhea match there too. But it is what it is. So Rhea and Iyo are shunted to the Raw after Elimination Chamber. I am now at my 80% prediction that Liv wins. Again, this is 20. I have to allow for 20% of Triple H's bullshit. Y'all know me, but I'm at 80%. I'm not deviating right now. It's inching higher. I don't think I'm going to go more than 80%, but I'm getting more and more confident with that prediction right now. Again, you have to allow for Triple H's bullshit. You got to account for the process being fucked up. You got to do a lot of stuff, but right now I'm just really confident with that. Why? Because they moved that match, Rhea's match, from Elimination Chamber to Monday. They didn't make any concessions for Iyo. Like, people started crying about Iyo. They didn't make anything to shoehorn her into Elimination Chamber. And Liv, if she gets it, if Raquel doesn't get in, and that's a 50-50 shot, and I'll get into that for Monday Night Raw preview as well. But if Raquel doesn't get into Elimination Chamber, it's going to be Liv on her own as a heel. The only other heel will probably be Roxanne, but she's a baby heel, and she just got there. I don't expect her to win out over everybody else. Everybody else has the storylines, and the only one with the storyline tying back to Rhea is Liv. She will be the only heel in Elimination Chamber if Raquel doesn't get it. So that explains my 80% prediction on that. Some people were pointing to Iyo's social media video, how she mentioned Liv and Rhea, and they were saying, well, they could be a triple threat because Liv can interfere with the match and make it a triple threat. I'm going to explain to you why it's not going to be a triple threat, and it's just going to be Liv and Rhea straight up. Rule number 1. Liv, her character is not that dumb. Liv, if she wins the Elimination Chamber, she has a guaranteed title shot with Rhea at WrestleMania. Why would she need to interfere with Iyo and Rhea? Some people can make the case that maybe Iyo would be easier to beat. And okay, it might be easier for Liv to beat Iyo. However, she's already beaten Rhea as well. She's beaten Rhea, she's beaten Iyo. She's already beaten them both. It's not like she hasn't beaten Rhea and where she needs like an in to get an advantage on somebody. She's beaten Rhea straight up with no interference, like way back, was it 2 years ago? 3 years ago now? So it's not like she hasn't beaten Rhea. And Iyo, she's beaten straight up too. So it makes no sense for her to interfere in Rhea and Iyo's match. Also, they're also saying, well, if she does triple threat, it makes it automatic a no disqualification match. Again, this match can be made into a stipulation match. They can finally make it that last woman standing. You remember when they had it where it was going to be Rhea and Liv at the last woman standing at the premiere, Raw premiere on Netflix? They can easily throw that stipulation in there, make it a last woman standing, and then that's no DQ. And then you can have all the shenanigans in that match. But you don't have to make it a triple threat to make it no DQ. Rather than just gone and just do it Hell in a Cell. I know we just had Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, but I think this match can warrant a Hell in a Cell match to cap off the feud and let it go die down for a couple of months. So you can do all kinds of gimmick matches where it's no DQ. You know, it doesn't have to be a straight up match anymore. And at this point, it shouldn't be a straight up match anymore. You need a stipulation. It needs to be the last woman standing, Hell in a Cell, ladder, something. But it needs to happen. Also, Iyo just mentioning Liv as well means nothing because there is no history with Iyo and Liv. Liv's just beating her. What's the story between Liv and Iyo? What's the story between Iyo and Rhea? There is no story. I've been arguing this all week. There is no story with Iyo going with Rhea and Liv. No story. None. What would she do in this storyline? Just scream Japanese? I love her. I think she's really good. But what's the story? The build towards WrestleMania for Iyo last year was heavily dependent on Bayley and Dakota. And that's a part of the reason why her title reign flopped too, is because, she's very limited in what she can do. She can do English, yeah, it's very limited English. But we need story. Iyo has no story tying into Rhea and Liv. And if they were going to try to do some kind of story with Rhea and Liv, that should have started way long time ago, like they did with Becky. At least with Becky and Rhea, they were starting to tease that months and months and months in advance, and then just wait until like the WrestleMania season to start like teasing it. This was Iyo just kind of popped up out of the blue, and Iyo is I believe it's just a lot of fans wishful thinking. Like a lot of internet fans want it, but that's just internet fans. Internet fans are a small chunk of the audience. If we have an opinion and we factor into things, but not to this point where a casual viewer would be, because nobody was really interested in Iyo, Iyo and Rhea's little thing, her little promo, and I have to get to that too about Rhea's promo on Raw, but nobody's interested in that. The story is Liv and Rhea. And maybe finally this time we get the story. And like I said, if we get the story between Liv and Rhea, it needs not to be the whitewash history that we've gotten from Michael Cole. We need the story. And hopefully this time they allow it to be told and not be afraid to make Rhea look bad. And that's what needs to happen, because like I said, her character needs to go to the brass tacks. She needs to start looking bad sometimes. And you can't keep her in the same position, because her being in her same character for all these years really put a damper on announcing the match between her and Iyo on last Monday, because she was just so like, I'm not going to apologize. Like, what? Like, you haven't changed at all. Like, you could at least apologize, but no, we don't get that with Rhea. And you can't keep doing that, because now, with people saying it now, people see it now with Rhea's character. Like, people were on mine kind of even a couple of days after Raw. They were saying like, "Woman, how can you not apologize?" Like, it would have been on site with Iyo. It should have been for Rhea saying, "I'm not going to apologize." Like, she should have been hit like right there. Like, what the heck? What the fuck you mean you're not going to apologize? You caused Iyo the match. You're not going to apologize? You could have that could have been presented a lot better, and it just made Rhea really look bad, and it really exposed her ass, because you had Iyo looking more sympathetic as a face. I mean, you have Rhea, who's supposedly this huge baby face, you're a big star of the division that they say that everything should be built around, looking like a complete jerk and an idiot. But it is what it is, and that's a tangent. But yeah, like I said, Iyo, I don't think this is gonna make it a triple threat match. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense for Liv to make it a triple threat match, because again, why would she attack Iyo? And if she does attack Iyo, I'm gonna call bullshit, because that's just Triple H assassinating Liv's character, because Liv has been presented really smarter than that. She has the guarantee if she wins Elimination Chamber, she has the shot. She doesn't need to bring in anybody else, and she could do a lot more other things to make the match into her advantage. Again, like I said, she could maybe goad Rhea into a Hell in a Cell or a last woman standing match. She can do a lot of things to get the match into her favor. Iyo doesn't have to be a part of those plans. Okay. And what else am I seeing? And like I said, Iyo sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, she doesn't know story. With Iyo herself, I do think she still might be doing something with like Shayna and Zoe. Maybe even Kairi if she's coming back. Maybe even things with Asuka. I'm not sure where Io's gonna be placed, but I highly doubt she's gonna be left off of WrestleMania. People are thinking like it's a tragedy that Iyo wouldn't be in a title match at WrestleMania. Like, she was just there. Bayley was just there. I mean, you can take I would think I would have Bayley in there a little bit more than Iyo. Because Bayley's been working her ass off too. Like, she was just like on how many shows this week? Like, I would be more like, okay, I would expect Bayley to get a little bit more than Iyo at this particular moment. Iyo went in as the champ. She was Money in the Bank. She had her match at WrestleMania, single match. Like, it's good. She'll be fine. So, yeah, 1-on-1. That's my prediction too. I'm believing that's 1-on-1, no triple threat. And I have yet to see anything that will make it a triple threat. Iyo just talking about Liv and Rhea doesn't mean anything. She kind of has to talk about Liv, because Liv was the cause of all of her not getting into the Elimination Chamber. So you kind of have to talk about it. Monday Night Raw preview. Let's go, shall we? Let's talk. So, with Bianca and Naomi showing up on Raw, I'm sure we're going to have all the shenanigans. People are thinking that they could cost Raquel the match, and it's possible. It's 50-50 for me. Raquel or Roxanne can go in. I can't really say that it's a guarantee that Roxanne will win. Because yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want people to lose like right out of the gate on the main roster, but I mean, you can protect Roxanne in a loss, and there's creative ways of doing a loss without her just being pinned and looking up straight at the lights. You can do certain things. Raquel, same way. I mean, I would want she. I mean, Naomi and Bianca can cause that distraction, but it's not a guarantee. It's 50-50. But it looks like Roxanne might win it, but like I said, it's 50-50. If it goes either way, I wouldn't be surprised. But remember, you got that match. Roxanne was just dealing with Bailey, so they could probably do something there. You know, maybe something comes up in during Raw where Bailey is upset, and then or even Cora Jade. Cora Jade is the wild card. If we see like any mentions of her in the area, she could come in and cost Roxanne. She's still pissed at Roxanne. So, it couldn't, it may not be Bailey costing Roxanne, it might be Cora Jade. So, we have two, like, a whole couple of different people that could cost either Raquel or Roxanne that match. Raquel helping also helps out the Liv storyline because she can be in there and then get rid of people until like she's like the last like three, and then she gets them eliminated, and then it's like the last two. Like you could do something like that. We've had those situations and scenarios before. Um, and then I'm gonna table Dom for a little bit because I'm gonna get to him. And then Finn versus Seth. Finn needs to lose to advance the Finn and Dom story. I'm sorry, Stepdaddy Finn, you gotta lose. It's just a shame that actually Finn and Dom need wins to kind of start building themselves back up. But I don't think Finn is winning that match. It's going to be Seth, and then so they can have Seth and CM Punk, in the chamber, and then they have all that shenanigans. But for the current storyline, Finn needs to lose. They can always go with my alternative theory, like Finn gets knocked out, and they need somebody to take his place, and Dom could enter in there as well. I know he has the match with AJ, but they can always work it around some kind of way where Dom gets in there and maybe he gets a surprise win on Seth, and then he's off to the races. It can happen. But if it's just Finn and Seth straight up, Finn's got to lose, and I expect him to lose. Nobody's really expecting him to win that match. I mean, there's a chance, but right now, I think that's Seth. Um, Dom versus AJ. Dom needs a win, or at least he needs a DQ win. He shouldn't be pinned clean, and Dom should not be used just to give AJ a win. If they wanted AJ to get a win, they could have just had some other heel or something like that on there just to give AJ a win. You could do like, I don't know who's a heel in here. Hell, you could have done like Carlito. Like if it was just going to be like a heel that AJ needed to win straight up, they could have just used Carlito. With Dom, I'm hoping he gets maybe a win or even a DQ win. My prediction on that is that they could do what he did to Ilya in NXT. Have Braun on the outside, observing the match, because Braun has already been evil eyeing AJ. AJ and Dom are going at it in the ring. AJ gets the upper hand. Dom moves out of the ring, sees Braun, and then slaps him. And then that can lead Braun into the ring to cause the DQ, and then give AJ the loss and Dom the win. And then that can segue into like an IC title thing for Dom, AJ, and maybe Braun. That's what I'm hoping. But I think that's the best case scenario. Work it where Dom gets a DQ win. AJ doesn't take a pinfall loss. Dom doesn't take a pinfall loss, and then that ties together Braun into the story. And then Dom has like his chance to get into the Intercontinental title scene, and this will give Dom confidence because he got a win over AJ, and that's just something more to lord over Finn's head because he lost. I also want to see Naomi and Bianca just roll up into the clubhouse. Like either they need to be sitting in there, or they're trying to break into the clubhouse, or they're just just being obnoxious, because I want some shenanigans. Like, I need to see Carlito's apples being spilt over, them and Liv and Raquel just arguing in the clubhouse. Like, I need to see some of that, just because I know that would be messy and hilarious. Like, we need that. Also, with all these 3 matches of Judgment Day, you see how we got anchor points again with Judgment Day? We got 3 matches. 3 matches that can carry us through 3 hours of Raw. I'm pretty certain we're gonna have Raquel and Roxanne in that first hour. We're gonna have Dom and AJ in that second hour, and then Seth and Finn in that third hour. And they're being used as anchor points. And what if I told y'all about Judgment Day being anchor points? If they have those matches and then we have the backstage segments like we have had before, we'll probably have a pretty good Raw where everything flows. If they run everything going through Judgment Day, the show runs better. Because look at how Netflix on Raw was when it was just like one Judgment Day segment. The Raw was just like ass. I mean, we had some good matches, but it didn't flow. When they started adding more Judgment Day scenes and Judgment Day matches, the Raw started flowing better. This is why they need to keep them as an anchor point. And that's probably why they're going to be still as a faction. Like, I'm not sure they're ready to give up on Judgment Day just yet. We're not just going to get La Familia just yet. That's probably in the future, probably towards the end of this year. But right now, they need Judgment Day as that anchor point. And like I said, it just everything just flows better with them. Just 1 second. Okay, so and practice. 1 moment. So let's talk about the next member of Judgment Day, shall we? We kind of touched on this on Monday. The usual suspects are Aleister Black, some NXT superstar, AJ Styles and a Swerve. We might have a new WWE star, Ray Phoenix, who might be released soon. There's been some news that Ray Phoenix and Tony Khan are negotiating right now. And since he's released like Miro and Zoe, Rick Starks and things like that, we might have Ray Phoenix. Maybe we have Ray Phoenix there. And then there's also Miro, or Rusev, as he was known in WWE. I'm not sure if he would fit, but he could be in there as well. It's kind of hard to tell like what new or what guy could be friendly for Dom, because it has to be somebody either new from like coming up from NXT, or new to the WWE itself, because there's not a lot of people friendly to Dom. The people that are friendly to Dom right now are like Chad Gable, and then Karrion Kross, and then there's Tony D'Angelo and NXT. I would not mind Tony D'Angelo. He could bring up the family. Maybe that's just like an introduction to getting the D'Angelo family to the main roster, because they're going to be going with they're going to have that little scuffle with that other Izzy Dame and that family in NXT. So maybe this is just like a backdoor way to get Tony D'Angelo and his family onto the main roster. Because I don't think there's a lot more that group can go, because Stax and Luca Di and what's her name? What's her name? I can't think. I can't think of her name. Like, you can move them up, and then just have like the D'Angelo family helping out Dom on Raw. We also could do something like OTM. Those like I said before, those cholo looking guys. That fits with Dom's aesthetic, and you can use them because they're not really doing anything in NXT. I mean, they've had tag team matches and things like that, but they'll never want to advance it forward where they actually won the title. So, but they're decent. I mean, I haven't seen them do anything like they're just horribly bad. Nothing like Ridge Holland or anything like that. Like, I think if you bring them up, you have a tag team that Raw needs, and you can just have both of them come up to back Dom's power play. So you could do that as well, but they do need to find somebody. So it's gotta either, like I said, it's gotta be somebody either new to new to the WWE or just coming straight up from NXT, because main roster people that are friendly to Dom are just slim pickings. Let's see. Yeah. I kind of touched on this before, but Rhea's booking is really exposing her because, like I said, a lot of people on the X were really noticing how badly Iyo was treated by Rhea. Just how it's just like her whole characterization is a mess. She's not face like, and she needs to change, and that's why I'm saying Liv in there finally might actually give us the official face turn for Rhea, because something's got to give, because you can't keep doing that. And like I said, how are you still gonna have the title? How are you gonna give somebody their title and you're only on there for a minute? Braun Breaker has been having limited time, but he's at least been doing some stuff. Like, but with Braun, he may not be having a lot of time on TV, but he's been actually wrestling too. Rhea hasn't been doing that, which again makes no sense why they took the title off Liv. And then Liv all of a sudden is now in so many storylines that you're making your actual champ look bad. It says everything is just flowing through Liv. Like, she could have did that as the champion if everything was just going to flow through Liv. But anyway, I kind of talked about Rhea earlier, but yeah, something's just got to give. Also, Damian is a leech. This man, Smackdown, he got the win, so he goes into Elimination Chamber. Maybe I don't want Dom to like take Finn's place, because Damian's in the Elimination Chamber, and this man over Jacob Fatu, and now they're trying to get Damian get a rub off of Cody Rhodes. No, it is blatant as hell. I mean, I can just see it at this point. Y'all were trying to use Dom. Dom stopped working because people saw through your shit, and now you want to use Cody Rhodes out there, and then just made Braun. Y'all just made, and then Damian just made Braun Strowman look like straight weak. I mean, I know Braun has been nerfed power wise as a big man, but still, like, you couldn't do more to Braun to put him down. To save, just to save, for him to save face. He's just a leech. I mean, anything that they want for Damian, they've been trying so hard to get him these face pops and stuff. And I saw somebody on the X. Well, he's popular in the crowd. No, he is not. I went to SmackDown in Austin. He was not popular. He got a little bit of a pop when his music hits, because there's a lights out entrance. When you have a lights out entrance, you usually get a bit of a pop. So yeah, you're gonna get a little bit of a pop. But as the match went on, when he was with Carmelo Hayes, he was like no selling Carmelo. Like, Carmelo wasn't even getting a lot of offense in. He was no selling Carmelo, and then he didn't get the pop, and then he didn't get a lot of audience reaction either when he was in Austin. So no, the audience is not really liking Damian. Not like all these other faces. There are a lot more other faces that have more engagement. See CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Penta. Penta just got there and he's over. Rey Mysterio. There's a lot of other faces that have the reaction that WWE wants. LA Knight. Look at LA Knight. He still is over. He's been booked like crap, and he's really not my favorite. I really don't like LA Knight, but I can't deny that he gets a reaction. So, they're just trying really, really hard with Damian, and you can really, really see that they're trying too hard. It's like, it's not going to work. It's not. I mean, he's not Rhea. He doesn't have the non fans gooning after him like Rhea does. And I think that's it. What I wanted to just talk about before I go to questions. I'm kind of thinking about if I wanted to talk about something else. Like I said, history needs to be used on the road to WrestleMania, and like Iyo does not have it. And Liv and Rhea do. I'm just kind of going over my notes. Dom's winning would progress the storyline with Finn, because Dom needs to win. Actually, Dom and Finn need to win, but right now Dom needs it more, because Finn is the leader. But at least Finn is established. Finn is an established guy, so while he shouldn't be losing like he has been, he's established. Dom really isn't at this point, so he needs to win more. Let's see. Oh yeah, and Finn in the chamber doesn't make sense. Like, what would Finn be doing? He would I talk about Iyo sticking out like a sore thumb. Finn would be sticking out as a sore thumb in the men's elimination chamber because they finished off Damian and Finn. It would make more sense if Finn and Damian were still fighting and they went into the elimination chamber, but that's cut off. So I don't see why Finn would be in there. What would be his story? And I think that's it. Like I said, I need shenanigans from Naomi and Bianca when they come to Raw. I need a clubhouse overrun. I need all the backstage segments and all that for Raw tomorrow. Because right now the Raw sounds really interesting. I'm gonna keep my expectations low, so I'm not disappointed. But Raw is really looking good for the setup wise because, like I said, it just seems like a judgment. This looks like a Judgment Day Raw from about 2 years ago, where Judgment Day was just all over the place. And if they do have Judgment Day all over the place, it's probably going to be a pretty good Raw. And I'll be talking about that tomorrow with y'all after Raw. So let's take some questions, shall we? I don't want to be up too long. This is the preview, and I don't want to keep repeating myself. Okay, thank y'all all for the likes. If I didn't mention y'all, let's see here. Harley Quinn says, hello, Harley. I am so ready to see how this plays out tomorrow. Yeah, it's kind of exciting. Like I said, I'm keeping my expectations low because I don't want to be really disappointed if it all just goes to hell and it's a complete shit. But it's just really looking to be a really eventful Raw. If it's not exciting, it's going to be eventful. If you know what I mean. Like we would see the implications of what happens between Roxanne and Raquel. We will see if Naomi and Bianca will start shit with Liv and Raquel. Will that cause Raquel to match? Or will something else happen? Will we get another reveal that Dom is pulling the strings somewhere? Because, like I said, it looks like Dom is pulling a lot of strings in the background. He could be up to something. He could have been the tipster that alerted Nick Aldis to this video. He could be pulling a lot of strings, and like I said, he had that fever with Chad Gable, but he could be doing something else. He's probably turning into El Jefe right before our eyes, and it won't get revealed until he finally has enough and kicks Finn out. But until Finn finally gets turned on, we have to keep looking for all the background moments for Dom. Dom works in the shadows. Dom is in the background. Liv is more in your face about it, but Dom has been working in the background when it comes to all these moves and stuff. Like, how much you want to bet tomorrow we'll get another indication that Dom has pulled a string somewhere? Maybe him saying, I made a call or two, and I got this, or he might even be sitting on the evidence that shows that Naomi is the one that attacked Jade. Maybe he calls Jade. Maybe he let Jade know. We'll have to see. And see. Let's see. That says, your personal thoughts on people who compare Jey Uso as this generation's Jeff Hardy. No, he is not this generation's Jeff Hardy. No. Jeff Hardy had a lot more moves. Jeff Hardy was actually killing himself too with all these moves. Like, he was, Jeff Hardy. And now, in the tag team sense, maybe he could be a Jeff Hardy because he was off the ladders, doing things like that, flipping off of shit, tipping off the ladders, whatever. But um, Jeff Hardy has a lot more charisma, and I think he has a lot more skill. That's kind of why I prefer Jimmy Uso to Jey, because I think Jimmy Uso has a lot more personality and a lot more skill, and I think Jimmy can rely on his promo skills to carry him through than Jey can. Jey has been reduced to just yeeting. Like, I don't want to, tomorrow on Raw, do we really want to see not Jimmy, do we really want to see Jey yeeting for 10 minutes when we could be watching something else? Like, I don't want to see that. I mean, am I happy that he won the Royal Rumble? Yeah. But I need to see more than just him yeeting. Like, are we going to just keep yeeting all the way to WrestleMania? Like, we have to get somewhere. We have to do something else. And I think Jimmy could have pulled that off of doing something else. But I don't think Jay is this generation's Jeff Hardy. I think, if anything, I think that was Jimmy. If I really want to think about it. Kendall says, "Hello, Kendall. My prediction: Dom wins, Raquel's a toss-up, Finn loses, and possible shenanigans in all three matches." Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Kendall. Like, Raquel and Roxanne are a toss-up. That's like severe 50-50. You can't call that any either way. Liv and Raquel can have some beef going on with Naomi and Bianca that could cause Raquel to lose, but Roxanne has Cora Jade to deal with. And Cora Jade could come up on to Raw and start shit with Roxanne. Because just because Roxanne lost at Vengeance Day doesn't mean that Roxanne is completely finished with NXT. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a match with like Bayley and Roxanne at Stand and Deliver, or Roxanne and Cora Jade at Stand and Deliver. So they could be trying to set that up. So it's not set in stone that Raquel will lose. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not set in stone. But yeah, it's gonna be shenanigans all over the place on Raw. Barbie Girl says, "Hello, Barbie. Did you see the SmackDown?" Yeah, I did. I was just talking about it about Naomi and Bianca. Naomi, they had so many hilarious pictures of Naomi really looking at that screen. Like, girl, why you gotta get that close to the screen to watch the footage? Like, that's just suspicious in and of itself. That's why I'm saying I'm still holding on to my prediction that it's Naomi. I think Naomi needs the heel turn. She needs it. Bianca doesn't really need to turn heel, even though people want her to turn heel. She still has more community engagement as a face, and she's still relatively fresh as a face. Naomi is the one that would need the character change because she's been face for so long, like years, and even though she's got crowd engagement, she needs she needs to change. I mean, she can go rock up with either with her own group like Team Bad back in the day, or she can do something with like maybe Jacob or something like that. If they want to include her in Bloodline stuff, she can be on that heel side right now. But I think Naomi needs it more so than Bianca. And like I said, there's also the chance that Bianca could be with Naomi too, and that'd be an interesting twist. Like, Naomi and Bianca were in on it together, but I think that's more of a long shot at this particular moment. Senor says, "I noticed a similarity between Dom and Jacob taking the leadership of their respecting factions." Yeah, yeah, it's like a slow process, but you see it. Dom seems like he's more avert, and Jacob does too. But it's like sooner rather than later with them that they're going to take over. Like with Dom, we just want him to go on and pull the trigger already. Like, with Dom, it just needs to go on and happen. Jacob, you can kind of wait a bit, but they need to probably pull the trigger on him too. But it's got to be done when it's an advantage for Jacob. Barbie Girl says, "People say Liv and Raquel attacked Jade." Yeah, there were some people who were just like so disappointed. "Oh, Liv and Raquel did it. That's just a waste of a storyline." I'm like, y'all haven't heard of a red herring? Like, some people just don't do the thinking skill. This is why they repeat a lot of stuff with their storylines, because people don't really get it. Like, that's a red herring. Now, if it ends up being Liv and Raquel, that would be disappointing if it's revealed that way. But just showing video of Liv and Raquel like walking away from the ambulance scene there doesn't mean that they did it. Like, wait until after the reveal to be saying like, "Oh, that was disappointing," like, because they could still take some other twists and turns to get to the real culprit. Oh, I hate this little thing. Okay. Laura says, "I need to see Big Jim having his WrestleMania moment, winning the United States title." Yeah, I want Jimmy to be doing some to get his due too. Like, I think he's been pulling his weight. He's been hilarious. He's been hilarious as that guy to like that funny man to Roman Reigns' seriousness. So I think he needs his moment too. Like, he's been putting in the work. He's been doing a lot of stuff. So I hope he does get the United States title reign after this. Kendall says, "Damian's face turn was over the night he beat Damian. No, let me repeat. Damian's face turn was over The night he beat down Dom with that chair. Yeah, I said it then. I said it then. People were on here. People who were here were listening to me. Just heard me say that they killed his face turn because people would cheer, but then when he kept doing it, people just got really quiet and they weren't able to recover because Dom didn't deserve it. Dom wasn't the one that was beefing with Damian at the time. That was Finn, and Finn was nowhere to be found. Dom had just got a win. People were happy for that. And then he saw Damian having a whole ass temper tantrum, beating down Dom for no reason. Like Dom wasn't a threat. Dom wasn't trying to do anything. Dom was trying to be honorable about it and try to win on his own. Yeah, JD, Liv, Raquel, and Carlito was coming out to help, but it's not like Dom had requested that help at that moment. So he won, and he won it pretty clean. He did like a small package on Damien. So it wasn't a lot of it wasn't like a lot of cheating where Dom did it. And Damien lost because he decided to pull Carlito, I think was it Carlito into the ring? So Damien is the one that caused his own loss. So people saw through it, and then didn't help that you saw Liv crying. She was acting her ass off in that segment. Like it's difficult to watch now, but go back and watch that Raw where Dom won against Damien because Dom was, I mean, not Dom, Liv was acting her ass off. She was crying. She was that heartbroken girlfriend that was trying to get to Dom. She was getting held out by Raquel. But she was trying to get to Dom. She was crying. She was extremely worried about how Dom was, getting beaten up. Can you tell him to be downstairs? I'll be down there in a few. Okay. Close the door. Come back here. All right. So it was we had Liv just being, really distraught. Like how can you overcome that guy Dom's girlfriend being so distraught over him getting beat up? And this was another problem too because they could have used Raquel like in a real role to like actually do something, but they didn't do that. So that was shitty booking on Raquel's part. Be down there. I'll be down there in a few minutes, okay? I know. I'll be down there. I'll be down there. Just give me a few more. I don't know. Maybe 10 more minutes. So, it was just really shitty booking on Raquel's part, but everything got killed off there. Everything. Because it showed Dom was tough to take that beating. And then this is where we actually saw that JD was a real one here because JD was quick to raise Dom's arm in victory after he got out of the ring. Like JD was quick to win that, and then Carlito sacrificed himself to save Dom. So that actually shows us like the formulation of people taking bullets for Dom because JD and Carlito were really trying to help to stop Damien's attack because Damien was just looking like a whole ass bully, and that just killed it because it wasn't the same after that. They kept trying to force Dom to get pops. He was the one that got pinned. Like, what was it? The 2 weeks after. Like, I still don't forgive them for Crown Jewel because they had set up everything so good for Dom to sneak in and win a title shot against Gunther. And on that at that Raw after Crown Jewel because Bronson Reed came in, wrecked shit. But Dom was being super smart and he was hiding out of Bronson Reed's sight. Bronson, he didn't pop up to try and do anything until Bronson was leaving. So we had Dom being really, really smart. And then he got up there. As soon as Reed leaves, here comes Dom trying to do frog splashes on Sheamus and Damian. And then Damian just pops up one choke slam and then wins. I think that was another turning point too, because people were just like, how could you squander that opportunity to give Dom a win? You could have just had him win there, give him the opportunity against Gunther, have Finn be pissed about it, and then go off there. I mean, Dom losing to Gunther at Dom losing to Gunther wouldn't hurt Gunther much, but it would help establish Dom more. I mean, we did eventually get Dom versus Gunther later, where he was really established there too. But it was just really shitty how Damian just came in after being like tsunami and stuff like that. He just comes in one South of Heaven and then wins. It's just kind of like how it treated Braun Breaker this past SmackDown. One South of Heaven against not Braun Breaker, Braun Strowman. Too many Brauns in the WWE. But he just does one South of Heaven on Braun and then he wins. Like, how is it that he's always able to pick up the pieces after everybody else does the work? Like, Cody Rhodes comes in there and starts running through everybody, and then Damian's just there to pick up the pieces. That's why people don't take him seriously. Like, everybody else does the work in these kind of tight matches, and then here you come, like, at the end, just picking up the pieces and winning. That's why people don't like him. Like, he's not showing anything where he's showing where he could win. Like, Dom winning at that Raw where he could have won, after Bronson Reed done everything, that would have fit Dom's character because he's chicken shit heel. He's an opportunist. He's smart. He's like Eddie. Damian, he can't be doing that with this type of character. And that's a large tangent, but yeah. And Kendall says, it's a travesty that Logan Paul is getting opportunities that should be rewarded to Dom. Yeah, a lot of people are really starting to see that with Logan Paul. Like, Logan Paul is getting in there where Dom should be, and I think that's going to start translating more because people are not liking Logan Paul. He gets booed, but even his boo on Monday Night Raw was not as big as Dom. Did y'all notice that? Logan Paul got booed on Raw, but it's a different type of boo. This is a boo like, hey, get off my TV because you're a piece of shit. Where with Dom is playing along, but they want, it's audience participation with Dom, but he's done enough where you want to boo him for his hard work. That's a sign of a good heel. Like, he's being a heel, you want to reward that heel by booing him. You're not booing Dom because he's a piece of shit. People are booing Dom, people are booing Logan Paul because he's a piece of shit. But even now, as compared to Dom, Logan Paul's boos aren't bigger than Dom's. But yet Logan Paul is the one that is like the final three and stuff like that. If Dom had made it to the final three in the Royal Rumble, it might have been good. You could have had, or he tossed. See, this is where he needed to toss out John Cena. Like, Dom should have been in there. He should have been sacrificed to Damian. He should have been in the Logan Paul position where he tossed out like CM Punk, Roman Reigns, something like that. And then he could be like in that final two where he tossed out John Cena, and then you can go on from there. I think if Jay had won against Dom, he probably would have went over a little bit more. But since Jay had beat John Cena, nobody's not really liking that. That's why there's so much discourse right now, and they're trying to defend it because he beat John Cena essentially. Like, was he ready to beat John Cena? But they could the whole sequence could have been reworked. But Dom really should be in Logan Paul's position, especially when Logan Paul isn't going to be around. Like, Logan Paul's going to probably be there for Elimination Chamber, and then he's going to bounce and then maybe do a couple of random appearances until WrestleMania. Senor says, do you see Liv wearing a mask tomorrow? I don't think she's going to be wearing a mask. It's not like she broke her nose or anything like that. She might wear like a little eye patch or something like that protects that side of her face, because I've seen her pictures. She's done pictures where she showed her injury, and it turned out to be a nice little like a showing off their injuries type thing, because Liv showed her injury like after it's been stitched up, and then Kari showed her injury where she got busted up, and then there was another like a Japanese like Joshi wrestler, not Iyo, it was somebody else, showing off like their like scars and stuff like that because they've been hit in that an eye area. So it was really neat to see that connection across like wrestlers and wrestling companies for that. So I don't think she'll wear like a full on mask. She might wear like I said, like a little eye mask, eye patch, something like that, just to protect it. I don't think she's gonna be wrestling much, so she could like do like the mask or something like that. an eye patch just to cover it until it heals a little bit more. And she has about like 2 weeks to heal on that. I don't think she's gonna get like a full face guard. Oh, it's Brooke Holo. Kendall says Dom's quiet leadership and patience is going to pay off. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would not be surprised if tomorrow we hear about Dom doing something else. Like, how much you want to bet? Like, Dom, maybe Liv and Raquel are kind of panicking about Naomi and Bianca showing up. And even though I want the messiness of them, of Naomi and Bianca in the clubhouse, who's to say that we'll have like Dom say, "Hey, I've taken care of it. They won't be able to get in here," or I got your back. They're not going to be in the clubhouse. You can relax here. Y'all be safe. I would be surprised if we get something similar like that. Something that shows his leadership and then finishes being his grouchy self because he's focusing on Seth. Like, he's focused, like, you could do something like this. Finn is focused on Seth. He's not caring about what's going on with Liv and Raquel. You're not, and he's not caring about what they might be going through. And it's just all about Seth and him. Meanwhile, you have Dom like helping out Liv and Raquel. Maybe Liv and Raquel aren't panic about Bianca and Naomi, but it's Dom that's like, hey, I got it. They won't be able to get in here. We got it covered. Maybe this is where we can hint at the new guys that Dom is trying to recruit. Maybe we get that hint of them. So you can show a lot of stuff with Dom's leadership tomorrow on Raw. We could see some stuff coming up like that. Like, we could see him like reassuring Liv and Raquel. Maybe they're not worried, but you can see Dom reassuring him while Finn is just being his demented self and just focusing on Seth and Seth only and not worrying about what's going on with Liv and Raquel. Senor says Naomi and Blanca in the clubhouse would have been hilarious and more interesting at the same time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I kind of want them in the clubhouse, but if they want to do something where Dom is like assuring that their space is secure, I'll take it. Maybe they'll do something at the ringside or something like that. If they do that, then we'll know that Bianca and Naomi are going to probably be at ringside for Raquel. But still, it's a trade off. Like, I want the messiness, but I also want Dom to be a leader. And if Dom being a leader means that he's got to secure the clubhouse, then hey. Barbie says, "You think Liv gets her title back?" I think she wins at WrestleMania. If Liv wins Elimination Chamber and she goes up against Rhea and they got a stipulation match, I think Liv wins. You know why I think Liv wins? Because I think they need to give Rhea some time off. She's not doing much compared to all the other champions. Now, Gunther wasn't doing much, but Gunther has been kind of ruined at this particular moment. And that's mostly due to Damian. But you see how Cody was just busting his ass and stuff like that. Shinsuke's not doing much, but I think that's more booking and then he's got limited English. See, Shinsuke's got an excuse of limited English. So it's not like he can do a lot of work. Braun Breaker, I think they're just trying to spin up the Intercontinental scene now. So he'll once that gets spun up, he'll be busier. And then like even tag teams are doing a lot too. They like Raw is weak, but SmackDown has been popping off with tag teams doing tag team matches with the storyline attached. So, we've gotten wrestlers be busy. Like with Rhea, she's just done so little. Like, she's doing little, even though compared to all these other champions that haven't been doing much. Like, she does less than Shinsuke, and she's been doing less than Braun Breaker. And I really think she still has these injuries. Like, she keeps headbutting people. Like, if you have an orbital bone issue, women, stop headbutting people until that heals, or at least heals for for a lot more longer time than needed. Like, stop headbutting people. But I think she's got some nagging injuries. I think she needs to take some more time off, and that's why I say I think Liv gets it. That gives Liv her moment, and then Rhea can go off. heel, take some time off, and then she can come back as a face and then throw her on the SmackDown side. That's what I would do. Like throw her on SmackDown. She can go face Charlotte if Charlotte wins, because I think Charlotte's gonna win against Tiffany, and go on from there. And Liv when and see and if Liv has the title, Becky, I think Becky comes back after the Raw after WrestleMania. I don't think she's coming in during this time. She comes back Raw after WrestleMania, and then we have a built-in feud um, for Liv right after WrestleMania. Liv come back, Liv wins the title, she's gloating on Raw, and then here comes Becky. Boom, there's your story. So it's also nice wishful thinking that I think Dom proposes to Liv in Las Vegas, but yeah, I kind of hope that happens too, because that would be really like putting the cherry on top. Liv wins, and then Rhea's face again is Dom proposing to Liv, so we can get that wedding in Paris, because they're going to have Clash of the Castle in Paris in August, I think. And I think that would tie everything up. Like you could do everything, you can have the proposal at WrestleMania, and then you can have them being an obnoxious couple planning their wedding all the way up into August, because they're going to be in Paris. Let's see. Uh, do, 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 do. Let's see. Senor said, "Do you think Dom and Uncle Lito will cause Finn's match?" I don't think so. Finn said he wanted to be alone, so I think he's going to be alone. You'll probably see Carlito help out Dom if he shows up, and then you might even see Liv out there helping out. I mean, so there's a couple of ways that you'll see like people circle the wagons for Dom. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dom was out there for Raquel too. Like if Raquel because of Liv and her like injury right now, like they might want to switch it where Dom comes out for Raquel, and then there's everybody showing their support there, and then it's just Finn by himself, and then maybe they have that little situation where Finn is expecting some help, but it's not there, and then you're showing that he's completely on his own. Elizabeth says, "I think Liv and Raquel get the tag team championships. I would not be surprised if Liv is a double champ. You know why I think Liv could be a double champ? Because whenever Dom kicks out Finn, Liv and Raquel being a champions, and then Liv as a double champ, gives the faction credibility. That's instant credibility. After what they've been going through, you have a double champ in Liv, and then Raquel's a tag team, and then if Dom ends up with IC, or if they don't do him that and they give him money in the bank, then the faction has credibility. So I would not be surprised if Liv wins tag and wins the title, because it's not going to kill anybody, and then they can rotate around Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, because I'm thinking that's what they want them to do. You know how Dom was like all over the place like 2 years ago? He was on NXT, he was on SmackDown, he was on Raw. They might want to do that with the group. Just have them just rotate around all three brands. It's going to be a lot of work, and that's a lot of travel, and that's probably going to suck. But I wouldn't be surprised if they want like Judgment Day to start roaming around again, because there's not a lot of factions right now. We got Bloodline, but they're kind of in shambles. If you keep Judgment Day as a faction and then shore them up with titles, and then just have them roam around and just start shit, then they'd probably be that faction for a while. Barbie says, "You think Liv gets two titles?" Yeah, I was just talking about that. And Barbie Girl says, "You think I heard Liv and ex girlfriend coming back? You mean Lana? If Lana comes back, I want her to show up at Dom and Liv's wedding as a callback for when Liv interrupted Lana's wedding to Bobby Lashley. That wedding was a whole ass mess. But we got Rusev out of a cake, so it was funny. But if they do a Dom and Liv wedding, I need Lana to come back as a callback, just to say I object, because that's what Liv did to Lana. And I think that is the questions. I don't want to be on too long. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So said they better not at Liv and Dom's wedding. I'm just saying, let them be happy. I'm just saying, I would not mind a callback, but it's a wrestling wedding. There's gonna be shenanigans. So if you're gonna have the only shenanigans be like Lana objecting, then I'll take it. But I would think it. I think it'll be all over the place because the only wedding that didn't have shenanigans was Index wedding, which was Dexter and Indy. And that's because Dexter had his axe on him. Like, so, and then he had like other people like standing up for him. So I think we're due for a really messy and shenanigans filled wedding with Dom and Liv. Just 1 second. So, Senor says Karen, Marky, Sammy, and his recent IG post was funny. I didn't know if they're facing at WrestleMania. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's either gonna be Kevin and Sammy, or maybe Karrion Kross and Sammy. I don't know. I'm still expecting a Sammy heel turn at still out of all this. Like Karrion's been turning people heel, so I would almost expect Sammy to turn heel, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Soul says, you think TJG will win their matches? I think Dom will win. Raquel is up in the air. That's 50-50. And Ben will lose. And Soul says, also, how long do you think LivDom will last? I say give it 2 years. They gave that to Rhea. And then a lot of it was just. And then with Rhea and Dom, it was 2 years. So I would say give them 2 years. And a lot of those 2 years, like the last half of it, was like nothing because they wanted to separate Rhea so bad. And I think they got I think they pulled the trigger because they thought Rhea would be fine on her own because they had separated her from Dom, but they forgot that she still had a connection to Judgment Day, which means she could be all around with the guys. But now that she's kind of been on her own now, she's been drifting and fading, and like Bricola said, she needed Dom a lot more than Dom needed her. Because since they split off Dawn from her, she can't be involved with guys' matches. And since she's not a part of the faction anymore, she's on her own. Like, look right now with Rhea right now. She's in the women's division. Doing what? Not apologizing to Iyo. And then she's only getting only like 1 minute promos. And then not even showing up in ring. Like it's like she does like jack shit. She does like a minute of work. Like at least when we complain about Dom not being on there for long, I mean at least Dom was advancing some stuff while he was there. So at least he was advancing stuff. Rhea ain't doing that. Soul says I believe Smith's gonna win the chamber, and Soul said yesterday after Vengeance Day they played a Rhea promo that Dom saying she's the best. That's an old promo. I mean they updated it, but it's an old promo. I'm not worried about that promo. It's old. It's something that's been playing for at least a year on Peacock, and they just haven't edited it to the point where they took Dom out of it. So yeah, I mean that's just an old Rhea promo. I don't know if Rhea fans were getting their hopes up with that, but no, that's just an old promo. That's just a promo that they show um while in between like WWE stuff, things like that. So I'm not too concerned about it. Morgan says, "Do you really think Liv won the chamber?" I am 80%. I have to allow for 20% of Triple H's bullshit, but at this particular moment, I am 80% sure that she'll win because there's not enough build for Bianca. Bianca winning wouldn't make sense because Rhea and Bianca barely interacted, and if Bianca wins it, it's just going to be feeding Bianca to Rhea. There's no story. Bayley, she's already had her match, her title match, and that wouldn't make sense either because she has a program with Roxanne. But Bianca wouldn't make sense either because they have Bianca and Naomi have that thing with Jade. Alexa is a long shot, but she just got back, and then they're teasing Wyatt 6 stuff with her. And then Roxanne, if she gets in, or Raquel gets, and then that's the long shot too. So yeah, I'm 80% with Liv. So I don't think Dom will go back to Rhea. I mean, never say never in wrestling, but I think it would take a long, long time to circle back around to that. And Senor says Liv are looking like soulmates compared to Rhea and Dom. I mean, Liv and Dom look more like equals compared to Rhea and Dom because just the way of the whole mommy thing. And even then, like, she can't keep being mommy. Like, who you being mommy to? That's another thing why Rhea needs to re-establish her character doing something else. Like somebody was talking about Toni Storm, like timeless Toni Storm now, and they were trying to say like she was they were trying to compare her to Rhea, like how she just got a title shot and won it back off of Mariah May. There's a difference with Toni Storm. Toni Storm has gone to at least 3 or 4 character changes. You know, she was Toni Storm, you know, like the rock star, the outcast, then the movie star, and then timeless Toni Storm. And then when she came, and then with Toni, she lost the title to Mariah May. But then she was gone for months. She was doing like matches in Australia and Japan and Mexico, CMLL, and then like over there in Stardom. But so she was doing some matches, but she was gone. And then when she came back as timeless Toni Storm, playing Toni Storm like the rookie, and then she worked her way up to getting a title shot with Mariah May. She didn't come. It's timeless Toni Storm didn't come back and demand a match with Mariah May, and then get it, and then she won. Toni Storm worked up to getting the title shot with Mariah May, and like I said, she's gone through at least 3 or 4 character evolutions, and she's been really wonderful with as timeless Toni Storm. I highly suggest you do the interview, the watch the Renee interview with Toni Storm before ahead of her match with Mariah May, and it's because it's hilarious. But she was explaining everything like in character, and you can see how she shifted from this heel character, movie star starlet that's just cruel to everybody, to just being this movie star glamour girl that's just she's a face now. She's loving, she's beloved. She has the adoration of fans. So it's a shift. We've seen that. We saw her face turn with Toni Storm. We have not seen that with Rhea. So it's completely different. The only thing that's the same with them is that they're Australian. That's it. Toni Storm has put in the work for her character. She keeps evolving it. I have yet to see that kind of effort with Rhea. She's honestly just resting on her laurels at this particular moment. Senior says, "What about the new ship Strapley? I cannot stand that ship. I cannot, because one thing, you're trying to force something that's not really happening because they don't have enough time to be together to develop it. So it just seems like this is just something being forced, kind of like how Jay and Rhea are like a forced thing. It's like they're trying to force something for Rhea that's not gonna work. Tiffany, even though she's kind of getting on my nerves right now, Tiffany doesn't need Rhea, and Jay doesn't need Rhea. Rhea needs to figure out how to handle some stuff on her own. Like Strapley, nah. If she needs a buddy, go find somebody in NXT, because I think that will work more than some of these other established stars on the main roster. And I think that it's 11:30. I'm gonna be on tomorrow at 10:30 CST to review Raw. Hopefully, we will get some good things coming out of this Raw. I'm hoping it's going to be messy. I hope we're getting some shenanigans. I'm hoping we get major storyline progression. We can't just move a millimeter now. We got major storyline progression last week, and I think they need to keep going. It can slow down after Elimination Chamber a bit. Like we need to keep pushing until we get to then getting cast out, and then it can slow down just a little bit. But it can't slow down too much because WrestleMania is around the corner. But they need to keep adding more storyline progression. It can't stall right now. It needs to ramp up. Actually, you can't really just like stall it out. You got to keep building. Has to keep going. So, like I said, hopefully we get all we want. I am hoping Dom gets a win, or at least a DQ win. I do not want him to just be used just to give AJ a win, because if that was the case, I could have just used Carlito. And then hopefully with Finn, we're getting some storyline for development there. He's probably going to lose, but we need some development in the case where he's losing because he doesn't have his group anymore. And then with Roxanne and Raquel, that's 50-50. Either way, that could go either way. But I'm hoping we get Naomi and Bianca shenanigans. So I will see y'all all tomorrow. Bye bye for now, and I'll talk to you soon.